Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Chaotic Wholesome. We are here for the finale of our series, Body and Soul, a soundtrack to see forever to. I'm Q. I am the storyteller, the facilitator, as it were, for this tale. And I have with me, for our last time this go round at least, my wonderful cast. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Love y'all with my whole heart. Say it with my whole chest. I would love for you all to introduce yourselves and who you're playing. We will start with Candace. You're muted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said hello, everyone. I'm probably muted. And it was like, yeah, I am. Okay. Hi, I'm Candace, also known as Candace the Magnificent. My pronouns are they, she. I am playing Ajath, who is the god of wealth and language and lifestyle. And they use all pronouns. Very happy to be here. It is very bittersweet.
Indeed. All right. Stefan.
Hello. I am Stefan or Stefan. You can use either one because the Creole side of the family uses Stefan, so it's all good. I am a history professor and pop culture and game scholar, and you can find me on generally on X musing about all kinds of fun things at _night_X. I use he/him pronouns, and I am playing Anasi the spider, mischief maker and storyteller extraordinaire, who uses the pronouns that fit the guise that they are in at the time. And so, yeah.
Fantastic. Mark.
Hey everyone, it's your boy Mark J. Pardon my voice there. Wow. I'm playing Buna, the god of death. You can find me at More Than Merry on Twitters. And I gotta be honest, I'm gonna miss this character and I'm gonna miss this cast. So I'm happy to be here now and play through it.
Buna is a fantastic character. Will be missed as well, but we've still got some time today for him. And last but certainly not least, Liz.
That's me. Hey, everybody. I'm Dauntless. You can call me Daunt or Liz. I am playing Hathor, who has recently fully stepped into her role as a goddess of harmony. She represents quite a few different things. I've had the fortune of watching her grow and being pushed to grow by everyone sitting here at this table. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm excited to see where this last chapter will take us. I'm emotional, guys. Oh, she, they for both of us. That's important.
All right. I'm he, him, or whatever. He, him, though, if you're nasty. You know what I mean? I like to say that. It's a good time. So I think we can begin. The 90s give way to the 2000s. Y2K does not, in fact, end the world. Boys to men walk so that B2K can run. Hip hop grows and flourishes. R&B is everywhere, from the radios to the club. And boy, howdy, are black folk in the club. Lil Jon, Yin Yang Twins, Ludacris, Usher. The music's got a bump to it, a rhythm. And with the prevalence and the push of a little spider's web, the internet grows, becomes something of a monster, we'll say. It is absolute chaos, but we're more connected these days. Things aren't better, or sorry, things aren't great, but they are better than they have been. Except for the fashion, maybe. I don't know about 2000s fashion. That was a lot. You know what I mean?
Those eyebrows were really
Ooh.
something. Y'all thought I forgot about the eyebrows. I did
No.
not. I'm still there.
Let's not make fun of witchy eyebrows, okay? They had their purpose. Sometimes you
Eyebrows
like
and the
a
low-rise
skinny
jeans.
brow.
To be a jump scare?
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah,
Sometimes
aggressive.
it looks good, okay?
No, for sure.
I will
for sure,
always
for
be
sure.
a lover of a thick brow and high-rise jeans.
Same.
Personally,
Absolutely.
Listen, even I was transformed, but for a while it was, well, I could never wear mud. You thick girl, you can't be wearing mud jeans. Mud was not made
No.
for booty. So
No,
never
for
had
sure.
those, but did have tilt. Did have tilt,
Okay.
low rise.
Did you
layer
have
jeans.
Juicy? Did you have Juicy?
No, I
Juicy
wasn't that
couture?
bougie.
No.
I don't
You
know
know
how it
that's
happened.
fair.
I'm bougie in other ways.
Of course, of course.
Fair.
I had juicy. I have to fess up here. I did. I had the rhinestone booty going on
Of course. Did you have the apple bottom jeans with the boots with the fur?
with the fur. I wish.
Hell yeah.
It was too hot
Ah.
for boots with the fur, but in spirit.
Okay, right. Hey, it's an energy. You know what I mean? It's not just an aesthetic. But in the 2000s, where do we find our gods, our deities? We'll start in reverse order. Hathor, what are you up to in the 2000s?
That's a great question. Hathor is figuring it out. I think there was sort of a steady pushing rise of her, not a need for her influence, because that suggests that people can't do what they do without her, and that's never been true. She's just there to kind of push along what's already there. But with this steady chugging rise of excellent music on top of excellent music from honestly the 30s until now, she's kind of looking around like, what am I supposed to do with myself now? Not that her job is done, but she feels like she can already foresee the sort of slow decline of this wave into something else. And I think she's just kind of taking it all in for the first time, not being as crushingly busy or distracted or needing to be distracted. She can actually enjoy the music that she's helping to cultivate. I think she takes up dance. Again,
Okay.
I think she really leans into it. There's a rise of music videos happening now, and I think she finds that fun. And yes, the music is great. Put it over there. How are we moving? And I think she's bouncing around to different communities to see like what they're working with, what they're inventing. How can we bring it to the stage? How can we show our culture and capture it so that people can look back on it in ways that we haven't before? How do we see who's in the booth? All of those things. And I think she's just chilling other than that.
Fantastic. Lots of dancers. And just like you said, like it's only growing steadily. I mean, one of your girls from the 90s is a pioneer of dances and music videos. Missy's always got an entourage. Absolutely killing it. I think you can definitely see or feel your influence there. You still have the girls in music videos, but certainly not as intensely as it was in the 90s. Also, women are doing for themselves a lot. I mean, you still got Destiny's Child for the first.
Her.
You're right.
When self-titled drops, when Beyonce's self-titled drops, Hathor is unreachable.
Hey, when the music game changes, you mean? Yes, correct.
Yes.
Correct.
She's unreachable. No prayers. Y'all can't find her. Nothing.
She's
There's
missing.
just a sonic cloud of Beyonce that's impenetrable around her.
Yeah. Where were you when Beyonce happened to you? Yes. Incredible. Buna, how you getting along on your end?
The game doesn't change much for me, to be perfectly honest. I give death. And my constant entourage of weirdos, people who follow me around, people who worship me, people who think I will give them some favor at the end of their life, they continue to follow me, never knowing what I truly am. It's the end of an era in the early 2000s. All the stars of the 60s, the 70s, some of the 80s, they begin to pass away. Nina Simone, Rick James, Michael Jackson. As always, I can see the ripples that's caused by their death. But even still, a certain amount of sadness, bringing death to a whole era of musicians, of game changers, of world changers. There's a certain beauty to it, and a certain amount of sadness as well. Such is the job.
True. 2000s, especially the beginning, is very hard. There's one instance in particular that you know, of course, bears mentioning. You know, in really the heart of New York, lots of deaths at that time. So you're certainly very busy. But most people, after the initial shock, do, of course, thank you in their own ways for the gifts that you give them.
When you see someone's life cut short, there's always the ripple, but some of those ripples are positivity and joy, along with mourning. I gave the gift of death to young ones. Aaliyah, Lisa Left-Eye Lopez, their careers just beginning. Both of them, more than a woman. But the changes that came after their passing, remarkable to say the least.
Absolutely. And you see those ripples spread out and extend through time. You can see how the ebb and flow of these moments, these changes, affect the different aspects of your siblings' domains. It is beautiful, but always with a tinge of sadness. Speaking of ripples and connections, Anasi.
Oh, yes. I think in the 2000s, Anansi is moving, of course, across the internet. Once again, shooting a little side eye to a certain Al Gore who claims that he invented this whole thing. And Anansi is keenly interested in that in past ages, the presentations of Black culture have always been curated in very particular ways. So many examples of things that have been made more palatable for the white gaze. And then there are those things that are designed to shock the gangster rap and those sorts of things that get all sorts of pushback from, strangely enough, people like Al Gore's wife, Tipper. And in the internet, Anansi sees a new way for Black culture to be introduced, and Black culture from so many different places and across the gamut that is not necessarily being curated by very specific people for very specific purposes. There are people able to publish their own music, their own stars, and some very talented people will come from beginnings on the internet. And so he's trying to help push that along and trying to help tell those stories. And of course, as always, make a little bit of mischief and mix some things up, and maybe sees this as a great new way to tell stories, but also to maybe get in a little bit of trouble.
Plenty of trouble to get into on the web. Goodness gracious.
Shout out to
You have to believe.
Anansi. Shout out to Anansi, angel investor for the Fire Festival.
I mean,
for
you know.
sure. Damn, why
Maybe.
you got to do Ja Rule like that? Why you got to do him like that?
Sometimes you gotta let somebody in the joke to get the bigger the bigger
Absolutely.
picture.
Right, no, for sure.
How did Pixel Chat spell Fire Festival right?
No idea.
A plus.
Right?
So you are spreading your tales. Some have a nugget of truth. Others are simply fabrications, and they spread through your web like wildfire. Yeah, you know, you have to believe everything you read on the internet. Obviously, it's God's
Yes.
honest truth.
It's just
Yes.
science.
Of course. Right. That's just how it is. And of course, you've got Black Twitter, which is it is a connection for all our people, whether
Yes.
that be for ill or for good. My goodness.
I'd like to I'd like to put in a formal complaint though, because you know how many December 21st have passed and I still don't have my superpowers. I put in orders in the mail.
We don't need to talk about it. It's okay. We don't need to talk
I'm just
about
saying.
it. You know, for sure. I get it.
Fair.
I'm also upset. I would love to listen, I love a superhero. I love a superhero, anything. I would love to do that, but we're not here. We're not there yet. Anyway, back to the game. Don't get me lost in this, okay? Ajath, what have you been up to?
Ajath has been in a really weird place. I think for the first half of, maybe more than the first half of their time in America, they have felt like they have done a lot of good, and they have climbed and moved mountains. They have made change for their people. And I think they get to a place where like he starts seeing the cracks in the facade. Like I feel like that kind of started in the 80s and 90s where she was getting a little hopeless. But I think by the time she gets to the 2000s, she's like, okay, so we're just on some whole ass other shit then. Like we're just doing some other shit.
Mhm.
We're just doing whatever we want, and there's no rules, and the wheels have just come off the fucking wagon at this point. So what are we doing, right? Like I think Ajath gets to a place where they feel a little bit lost in their mission. Like, what do I even do now. Like, more of us are going to college. More of us are coming out of poverty. The stereotypes still exist somehow. So I think Ajath decides that, like, she's just gonna buy in. Like, I think he just is like, you know what? Like, you need to go with the flow. Maybe the key is popularizing the things that you find distasteful that get the word out, so that you can at least be a part of the reprogramming of, like, white youth. I think that's like Ajath's vibe now, is like lifestyle, language, and wealth, seeing our language co-opted, seeing people take it for themselves, seeing our lifestyles co-opted, and our cultural traditions adopted, stolen, and reworked into other people's lore. It's very much a slap in the face, and she is struggling to see it as a long game of, well, one day when we need these people, maybe they'll show up because of how much we've given to them or let them take.
Right. And man, do you see a lot of that in the 2000s? The number of times I've had, white folks say nigga.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was in the song. It was in the song.
Karaoke bars across the country. Ajath does not go to them. Lest he start a fist fight. Ajath just stays outside, smokes a cigarette. Now it's probably a vape pen. And just tries to move on with their day.
Absolutely.
You've been doing this for so long, but now they have a term for what you do. Are you the god of influencers?
Buna, no one's allowed to call me that except for you. No one.
And even I don't want to say it again.
Please. Disgusting. I'd rather say that I'm the god of people who make recommendations based on the amount of money they have been promised.
Yes.
I think that's a better way to maybe put it, because at least then there's an activity and there's wealth, and it seems at least slightly more glamorous than I jumped off this cliff and broke my brains open on a rock because I wanted views. Listen, darling, it's disgusting.
It's a mouthful, that one. Maybe it'll catch on.
She looks disappointedly off into the distance.
Just, Yes. Content creators. YouTube is a thing. Eventually Vine. For a moment. You see Black people out here trying, doing their best, getting a fraction of the likes and views of their white or light counterparts. But you also see in a lot of them the determination. And it's strange because on the one hand, in the, pop culture stratosphere, you have so many big names, so many icons that are, Black, and they're everywhere. You have the names like, Lil Jon, T-Pain, Beyonce, you've got, Angela Bassett. You have these pinnacles of people. And then there's just a gap between those names and those people trying to get there. And I think, you are that bridge between. Just out here doing your damnedest. There are, of course, some good points to this time. I mean, we have our first Black president. Absolutely. You can't listen. You can't say "Don't call me an influencer" and then dab on him real quick. You can't do that. You can't. You can't do that.
It's pizzazz. It's pizzazz.
Sure. The kids will
We're
call it
method
Riz in a
acting.
couple of years.
We're in the period. We're
You
rooted.
know what? Fair. That's fair.
They're
That's
making
fair.
decisions.
I got it. No, I got it. I got it. Whip real quick. I get it. You mentioned change, and that's his whole platform. And it is a big day for a lot of
I have
people.
a feeling it's going to be too much change, if you know what I mean.
We can only hope
Mm,
that that is not the case.
mm.
We'll get to that in part 2. We'll get to that in part 2. I mean, like, I don't know about you all, but the niggas around me gave Obama the like memorial shirt treatment as soon as we knew he won. Truly before he won.
I have one in my house that says hope and dignity.
Incredible. Incredible. And there was a lot of hope in that time. We saw change happening, and a lot of young Black folks saw someone in a position of power. The most powerful man in the Western world. And he looked a little bit like us. His family looked a little bit like ours. Prim and proper, because you have to, but a strong, proud Black family. I think we're going to take it to the inauguration. You all are there. Watching as he becomes the president. Seeing this momentous moment in history. How are we feeling? Anasi, start with you.
Well, that fixes the racism thing, right? I
Y'all
mean,
just roll the credits now. We're done.
solved.
We got
Right?
Call it a day, gang.
Yeah, that's it. I think along that line, Anansi would be interested to hear that exact sort of take. That this is a momentous moment, but at the same time, for a certain amount, a certain type of person, this moment does signal an end to what has gone before. That this demonstration that things have come to this point signals something that, of course, is not reality, but it gives a pass to some to say that the work has been done and that now here we are. This is the culmination, the end result. And I think Anansi is working, as always, behind the scenes to poke and prod, to whisper about all the things that are still left to do. And so it's an achievement, a moment for some celebration, but also a signal there's still a lot left to be done. And Anansi is as always, tugging on those strings and threads to help keep that alive and moving forward.
Amazing. Aya?
I don't want to speak for Hathor, so please correct me if I am wrong in this. But I feel like a not small amount of time, especially during the inauguration, would have been spent consoling all of the Black elders that never thought that day would come, that never thought that they would live to see the day when a Black man ascended that staircase and got sworn in as the most powerful man in the arguably in the world. I think being there for people who, through intentional worship or just by virtue of being one of our siblings, holding them, crying with them, celebrating with them, definitely reminiscing with them. Lots of that. Lots of talk about how we got here and who were the players who got us here. Lots of remembrance and mourning the loss of people whose fight didn't last long enough to be able to see this new day come. I think lots of time spent in that.
Absolutely. It is strangely a bittersweet moment, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots to celebrate. There is, of course, that internalized fear about what after, because this isn't a permanent thing. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
And also what it took to get us here. So certainly bittersweet, but beautiful.
I think too, there's also an element of trying to give security. And I imagine that this would be something that Ajath would probably consult Buna about, are all the prayers, the influx of prayers that they're going to get. All these people hoping and wishing and praying for the longevity of that president. Knowing that in the years just before this, Wyclef Jean is singing on the radio about if there was a Black president, he'd be inaugurated one day and then killed 2 days later, right? Like, recognizing that this is a time when America may or may not have bitten off more than it can chew, and kind of rallying the siblings for, hey, they might need us. Like, we might be needed. Trying not to get too excited because they're real salty right now, but like he's doing his best to like rally the troops in any way he can.
Absolutely. And there's plenty to deal with, plenty to contend with, because we all know there were certain individuals that were not pleased, and they made a very loud and aggressive show of it.
I mean, that's fine. He wasn't even born in this country, so.
Yeah, but did you hear about his middle name?
Yeah, well, yes.
Absolutely. Hathor.
I think Ajath is 100% right in terms of what Hathor is doing. I think we're very side by side in this. Hathor, their spirit, their joy, their energy is now something they can afford to split without burning out, which is strange considering I think the atmosphere is one that would want you to burn out and to burn low. But I think their energy and their just essence is that the HBCUs that are celebrating, it's in drum lines, it's at Black fraternities and sororities that are losing their minds and tailgating for a week straight. It's in every family home that stayed up to watch the election, the results pour in and ran around screaming and called it everyone they knew. But I think Hathor in physicality is right there on front porches, in old plastic chairs, or on the porch steps that are splintering, and just talking with all of the elders that need to process this in many different ways. There are some that aren't happy, that think this is too progressive, that can't quite give in to the joy without seeing something wrong in it, because they've been burned too many times before. So I think Hathor's just making the rounds, trying to pry open closed doors, so to speak, to let in hope, because we need hope. Maybe not in giant red, white, and blue letters on our walls, but that counts. That's okay. It's something. Maybe not his picture next to Jesus, or in the frame where Jesus used to be, but that's okay. We'll take it.
Okay, listen. Obama and Beyonce are lords and saviors. I don't know what to tell you.
Obama, Beyonce, Jesus. That's the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Like, if you went into any Black household in the Bible Belt, that's what's on the wall right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Hathor's just opening up, listening, trying to take in as much as she's giving. Yeah, allowing hope and trying to cultivate it, because the alternative is too much to think about at a moment of such joy.
Absolutely. And Buna, not much death happening there, certainly. At least not for the inauguration itself. But you do see your siblings doing work, being there. How do you support them?
Well, first, I'd like to tell you a story about how I broke the rules. Normally, when I give death, I greet them, provide them my services, and take them to their next destination. But there were two individuals who I needed to see this inauguration. I needed to bring them along to show them that what they did mattered. One was Ms. Rosa Parks, and the other was Coretta Scott King, who both died in the early 2000s. I mean, I shouldn't have done it, I know, but I needed them to see what I had seen, that their lives and their deaths had mattered, make more of a change on this country than they might ever know. I'm sure there will be some repercussions down the line, but I just had to do it.
And that is more than fair. You all see this moment. It is a bright one. You are at the inaugural ball, invited through any number of means. I think you all are watching the president and the first lady do their first dance. A song that you all are familiar with. At last, the strings go, the music swells. And you just get to watch. You're not entirely sure, even with seeing the ripples, how tomorrow will go. But there's a moment of peace, of perhaps thinking that tomorrow will be okay. But tomorrow is much the same. In certain instances, in certain cases, it is worse. Police violence, police brutality is something that has plagued our people for, honestly, the inception of this country. Since the very beginning, it's had different faces, but it is all the same. Only this time, there's footage. This time, there's documentation. There are a number of people that are found out. Lots of cops are shown doing the things that we have always said they do. And it once again brings up that fight, that ire, that rage within our communities. We say their names so that people do not forget. And it's not just in one city. It's all over the country. And in an instant, the World Wide Web is worldwide, and it is immediate. Ajath, you find yourself once more with the opportunity, whether or not you take it, to be on the front lines as people cry out in anger and frustration. You can't have lifestyle without life, and y'all are just trying to live.
I think for Ajath, one of the small comforts that they feel in that moment, something that was a throwaway decision that they really didn't think about, was smartphones. A small piece of luxury, something that's not huge. They didn't think that technology was going to go far. They were surprised when it became something so revolutionary, and kept waiting for the moment where it would finally feel important, I think, to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the telephone, obviously, being able to connect with your friends and family anytime, anywhere, lovely. But they see a lot of ugliness and a lot of hatred on this World Wide Web, right? Lots of pranks being played, lots of disingenuous people. But the moment that smartphones start becoming a tool for resistance, a tool to help people fight back, a way to record histories in an unexpected way, I feel like Ajath feels a little less useless, knowing that trying to make those affordable, trying to work behind the scenes to make that bit of luxury something that people can have without feeling bad about it. It's so useful that it's almost a must. It's a need, a necessity at that point. What I think she didn't expect was how much time that he would feel he needed to spend watching every single one of those videos to bear witness, and how that would both utterly destroy and completely radicalize her. So by the time it comes to a crescendo, she's absolutely on the front lines. She goes back to her early days, money for bail, money for water, bribes, trying to get to the few cops that are the least bad, and greasing palms to see if people can be treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve. Ajath believes that the most American thing anyone can do is protest. That's what the country was built upon. And I think he kind of devotes himself to supplying whatever is needed in those moments to help grow that movement as large as possible.
Absolutely. And you certainly see that growth. Black Lives Matter. It's one of the big ones. You, of course, get the parts or the sections of it that people try to use for ill, or the parts that people say is used for ill. But Black Lives Matter is a statement and a movement, and you are there to help bring it along. Anasi.
Yeah, I think Anansi would have to take credit for some of those pranks first off, but then also Anansi would get a little bit of joy from people doing silly things and making fools of themselves on the internet. But also, I think Anansi would be everywhere. In one place, Anansi would appear as a worried mother with Black children out on those streets. In another place, Anansi would appear as a brother, as a co-worker. And in all those places, Anansi would do what Anansi does and make mischief in a very particular way. So maybe that police body camera that accidentally got switched off would get turned back on, so that those events that were to be masks would end up coming to light. Maybe that Ring doorbell camera would be positioned in just the right spot to catch something happening down the road. Because, as Ajath pointed out, this is a time when these new technologies now reduce the ways that the police can hide their activities, reduce the ways that they can obfuscate what they're doing, and provide evidence that shows something completely different than what may be in their written reports and their accounts of events. And so Anansi would make sure to be behind the scenes, helping push through the freedom of information requests to get these things released to the public, would be at the protest for people shouting for body cam footage of these events to be released before they can disappear in some dark place, and making all of those other connections, because this new technology and now everyone carrying a phone with them has literally changed the world, now that everyone has the ability to film what's going on around them, and maybe even whispering in an ear or two that maybe someone who might otherwise might not have gotten involved, Nancy might whisper and give a little nudge for them to pull their phone out and start taking pictures, start taking video, and upload those things to show the other side of the story, that side of the story that, as all of their siblings have pointed out, that people in the Black community have been saying for a very long time. But there has been this very strong counter narrative from above, not only publicly, but in our entertainment, that police are these upstanding noble individuals. And if they go rogue, it's only to get the bad guys. It's only to get the ones we know have committed a crime. And of course, we all know that's not the reality. And Nancy is very, very happy to show the rest of the world these little bits of that reality.
Absolutely. Hathor.
I want to do two things. The first thing I want to do, I want to write a letter to my son. Actually, I'm going to write an email. I'm going to be brave. These computer things still scare me a lot. I get it. They're everywhere now. Everything's on demand. That's cool. I feel like there's a problem with having everything on demand, but fine. I will be brave and I will write electronic mail instead of good old-fashioned papyrus and ink. But I will write an email to Horace because I think for the first time, despite godhood, despite our different concepts of mortality, I think I am worried for him. This is a time in which, more than ever, I would almost say, it is dangerous to be a Black man, but especially a Black man visibly succeeding. And his whole life, he has been a healer. He has been a community pillar. And though I have watched him guide the sun through the sky safely each morning, I fear for what might happen if a police car stops him. So I write to him and I tell him how proud of him that I am. I tell him about the ripples of his work that I see in colleges around the world, even people more and more wanting to step up into healthcare, to push new boundaries forward because they are seeing the racial inequality in the medical field and they want to do something about it. But I also remind him that as much as hope is in the air, he himself carries part of that hope with him, and that makes him dangerous. So I remind my boy to protect himself. I remind him to love himself. I encourage him to go protest, but I also encourage him to keep living, because that in itself is a radical act of resistance. I probably signed the email in some really embarrassing way. Probably attached like a really small, crunchy gift to it. And then I send it. And the second thing I want to do, of course, I'm on the front lines right next to Ajath. I think that's something that won't change no matter how much we change. But I would connect with each of my siblings and try to gather our sort of, I guess in our sort of little areas, the feelings about the shifts that are happening around us, and then take that energy and push it forth to the artists. So that we feel Buna's influence. When people are singing about death at the hands of the police, we feel the many dimensions that then come with death. And we feel the idea that power can persevere once Buna has visited. And in fact, thanks to Buna, it can. Encouraging waves of connection and working together and resistance as a unit, and letting Anasi's influence come through in the music and in the lyrics, because I feel like you have something to do with when there are bars. I feel like you have something to do with that, and letting the grit and the anger, but also the emotion and the strength of what it takes to be one of the community pillars that is trying to push things forward, letting that and Ajath's influence come through. Just making sure that all of it is heard, all of it is felt, and that we see that there are places to go, but we feel it in the moment, in the cultural moment. When we look back, there will always be this. We will always have a touchstone here. Those are my two things.
Those were two very good things.
Thank you. I try my best.
I think you get an email back. It is crisp and clean. No crunchy gifts. But there's a promise. One, to stay safe. To keep up the fight. To take the lessons you have given him, both spoken and unspoken, and be the best that he can be, both for you and because of you. And I think you get a message every day, even if it's just to say, hey. Doesn't miss a day. As far as the music, I think there is, between the four of you, this incredible mix of emotion, of raw power that comes up and comes out. There's a lot of music that's just black as hell, y'all. And talking about the real shit. Also think it is worth noting that Ajath, the work that you started putting in the 70s, is coming back now. Because that union, that mix of queer culture, black and white, realizing that having our white allies was important, is visible here. Because when we say Black Lives Matter, the ones that stand with us say, yes. They don't say, no, all lives matter. We still have a lot to teach them. They've got a lot to learn. But our voices are amplified with their power. So they say the names so that everyone can remember them. Buna. Hi there.
Good evening.
There's a lot going on. You are incredibly popular because there are many instances, repeated time and time again, where it's recorded of you giving your gift to people. Never before has it been quite so blatant. Now, while you might not actually be there, your presence is seen. It is felt on loop in some cases. There's a power to that. Small little bits of devotion. Tiny prayers with each stream on a video on TikTok, on Vine, on Twitter. For all of you, the internet is a strange phenomena. So, how's Buna handling it?
I think that Buna, as always. No, let me rephrase that. I think that Buna is beginning to grow tired. The 90s were a lot, the aughts are a lot, and as the decades move on, I can hear each time my name is called. And now it's incessant, it's on loop, as you said. Death, 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 death. Like, what about life? What happened to you people? I find the irony of the Black Lives Matter movement. It only especially matters when Black lives are taken. Why do people focus on death so much and not the lives they live? Why don't they spend the time uplifting each other during the time they have? It's a strange phenomenon, these people, my people. I never told them to worship me. I'm just doing my job. Also during that time though, I have a question. Anasi or Ajath, which one of you is responsible for Fergie?
No, honey.
You're not claiming that one? Okay, then Anasi, I'm looking at you.
Ooh, actually.
The Black Eyed Peas were with it back in the
that's
day.
Hathor. That's Hathor.
Why am I in it? Now why
Ooh.
am I in it?
Because that's the Black Eyed Peas, baby. The Black Eyed Peas made that happen. Actually, hold on. I think maybe that might be the Mouse's fault.
And that's not
It's
under our
incorporated.
purview.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh boy. And then it was just it was a wrap after that. Yeah. So so not Hathor. There you go.
Thank you.
It was
Right.
yeah.
Put some respect
It
on
was-
my name. 'Cause
I mean, I do get up
I
to
didn't
some
say all
mischief.
that. Right.
And Nazi.
Sometimes things aren't my fault. Sometimes I have siblings.
Fergie is not our fault, but Will.i.am is Anansi's fault.
No, for sure.
Absolutely.
For
I'll take that. Absolutely.
Also, I'm fairly certain you probably put her up to the national anthem.
Well,
Here's,
That-
here's
Yes.
what happened.
That feels accurate.
Yes.
I wrote down the concept for their group on like a sticky note, but it was 100% for a dinner ingredient and not actually a band related thing. And I feel like Anasi got a hold of that. And then Hathor woke up the next morning and was like, what? Oh God.
100%. 100%.
Something horrible has happened here.
You said you wanted Black
100%.
Eyed Peas. You got it. There you go.
Here you go.
Not
Now,
like this.
if we were to look in the spice cabinet, what is a Fergie?
I mean, because vanilla is valuable. It's valuable. and
Vanilla,
delicious.
sure. What's
I
up?
have the answer.
I'm listening.
I'd argue a Fergie is a paprika. All color, no
Oh.
flavor.
Oh. Yeah.
Above
Fair.
table, I'm a
Yeah.
writer, and somebody once used Fergalicious or Glamorous, whichever one of her shitty songs, to correct my grammar in a meeting
Oh.
Oh no.
No.
because she spells. And I was like,
So she spells glamorous. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
mm, I'm, yeah. Thank you
I
you
feel
so
like
much.
We're all owed $20 just hearing that.
It was
from that person.
At least 25. It's
Yeah.
25 for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worst
Something.
part is I was the only Black person in the room.
Oh,
Ah.
my
Everyone
God.
turned to look at me like, your rebuttal? Like that was a
like
reasonable thing to
this.
say.
Mm.
And I just went,
Interesting.
you know what? Spell it however you want. And I
Yeah.
was done. I was done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Psychic damage.
you're right.
I,
Psychic damage for sure.
I will have to say that based also on what Hathor said earlier, that that Anansi would also be very keen on what's happening now, especially post the inauguration. Something that's been kind of started years before, but now in the past, those of us can certainly remember a time when the racism was overt. It didn't have to be hidden. They could just come out and say it. Just in conversation without any repercussions, just boldly and openly. And now things have changed enough that many of them have become more measured and careful in how they apply their racism. They apply it subtly through microaggressions or in hidden internet chat rooms and other things like that. And Anansi would be very interested, being a bit of a trickster and manipulator themselves. Anansi would want to play in that field and would be very involved in exposing the subtle racism.
You absolutely do so. The subtle racism, the microaggressions. With the help of, once again, of your little web. People are getting called out left, right, and center. The small, quiet things, the quiet parts are being said out loud. And you all definitely have something to do with that. It's interesting. Some of the white folk do understand. They get it, they learn. Didn't mute at all there. Some people double down in that. And it is fascinating to watch when Black Twitter gets a hold of them. All of the Twitter fingers get going, and it is a joy and a delight to behold. You get to see the wrath manifest and the number of small, quiet racists find themselves away from the internet very quickly. Sometimes. And I think as we roll in past the 10s, past the end of the era of Obama, positive though it was, we wonder what the future holds for the nation. And I think that is a good spot to take a break. So, everybody, get your beverages. We're going to figure out what was happening there for a second. And we'll see you back in about 10. 10 sounds good. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back I'd like to thank Steve and Joyce. Thank you so much for the raid. Apparently you came to us during our break, like right before the break. Do apologize, but we're back now, baby. We are in the we're in the 10s, 12s. It's after 12. It's 2012 and on. After the rule, not rule, because that's a lie. After Obama, we wondered who would be next in line, and we had hopes. Or the Democrats had hopes, certainly. They thought, hey, after a black man, what's next? And the answer to that was a white woman, we hoped. That is not what we got. And I don't feel like saying the name, so we're not gonna. Everyone knows the name of, the Mango Mussolini.
Don't insult mangoes, please.
Okay, sure. Toupe
Mangoes are
Fiasco.
delicious.
No, for sure. Toupe Fiasco. That was one of my favorites. Yeah. The Cheeto in charge.
Yeah.
It was an overcorrection because that's how the world works a lot of times. It goes one way and then the meter is pushed back, but it's never to the middle. And so, whereas during the Obama inauguration, there was joy and hope, when 45 was announced,
There was Photoshop.
there was Photoshop. There was, it was hard to describe the feeling because we'd all seen the campaign. We'd all seen how things were run, how things were looking, and it was heartbreaking, I think. We were grieving the end of an era, and then we woke up the next day to a completely different world. I'm sure many people have stories in a post-Obama world. The quiet parts that were said out loud were now just the parts out loud. There were no quiet parts for a good long while. There was a brazen lack of care. They wanted to make America great again. But I don't know if it was ever really clear what part of great America they were talking about, because that certainly never really applied to us. And life in America was much the same. So in the post-Obama time frame, what was going on with our gods? Because I haven't had any of you roll anything at all. Roll dice. Whoever gets the best gets to go first. We've just been role playing. I regularly forget that this is a dice system. I'm so sorry.
Fine.
I got a one.
I got a +2.
Okay.
I have a
Minus
-4.
Smart. Okay. What you get Liz?
-1.
Okay, all right. So, Anansi.
Yeah, I think Anansi would be looking at what's happening with this shift in power, thinking on one hand about this ideal, as you mentioned, of when exactly America was great for us, which really was never, at least not in the ways that it's being portrayed by that particular movement. But I think Anansi would also be looking forward, ever perched in the center of the web. Sometimes Anansi gets flashes of what is to come. And I think Anansi would be looking forward and would probably work alongside Hathor to look forward to some things that are to come and to maybe take that element of the Black national anthem, but with his characteristic wit, change things up, change the lyrics to lift up every chair and swing, to think about what is to come and how to help move everyone past this particular moment, because it's certainly not the first time that we've had something that proves to be awful for our people that we've encountered. And so we always have in our kit bag those things to be able to help people endure, to navigate these new times, to put up with the MAGA slogans and the shifts now because of a new boldness that some of those more overt strains of racism come back and get louder in some segments. How do we make those twists and how do we make those shifts to be able to endure those things? Because it's just one in another long, long line of disappointments that this country has handed us. And we always take those and we adapt and we use them in our art. We use them in our music, in our entertainment. We come up with new words and phrases to confront these things, new forms of community and new connections amongst ourselves, push past all of these things. And so Anansi would be very much involved in all of those aspects.
Absolutely. Ajath, you got next.
I think Ajath has spent a lot of time questioning the reality of the world as a god who has helped create the way that the world works before. Now seeing this wholly unfamiliar landscape, yet uncomfortably familiar landscape laid out before them, it feels a little bit like that 90s movie, that Groundhog Day that everyone loves. Feels both surreal and hilarious, yet also deeply annoying and frustrating. And I think for them, the hardest part is being this god of wealth, deeply understanding capitalism and why it exists and how we could best be taking advantage of it to the point where it doesn't have to harm our civilians, especially our most vulnerable civilians. Seeing greed take over, seeing corporations enrich themselves with small business loans despite taking in millions of dollars a year, taking that money from people who really need it. Like watching all that greed, seeing this person leading the country, seeing people foaming at the mouth about what a racist he is, and recognizing that that same asshole would rather have dinner with a rich black family than a poor white one. And knowing that there is the most opaque veil over the eyes of his followers. I think Ajath, for the first time ever, goes, this is not a problem I can fix. This ain't my problem. This does not have my name on it. I'm not doing anything about it. I think Ajath washes his hands. He sees it and he's like, you know what? I'm going to support. It's time to support. Because I can't fight this. I can't fight this fight. All I can do is continue to try and enrich the culture that resists this. And I think that's where she puts all of her effort. Like, politics were something I think for a good 8 years, she felt really positive about having sunk a lot of time into it. But he really just is at a place now where he's like, yo, I cannot be a victim of sunk cost fallacy. Yes, I put in a lot of time and effort, and I will again, but this is gonna need to play itself out. And I'm gonna be over here hoping to inspire people. Putting out the fire called Hamilton, trying to do that. Attempting to do some kind of damage control over there.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
Good intentions.
Mm,
The road to hell is paved with them.
yeah,
Sometimes I make
sure.
mistakes. Okay,
Listen,
it's not my fault.
Ajath, like myself, is of the mind that somebody did a good and positive thing that they meant to be wonderful and transcendent and to unite people, and wrote it during the Obama administration and released it right at the end of it, which was the worst time to do so.
Yep.
So it was a mostly valiant effort, and the music is not bad. However,
Ooh. Ooh.
there's a lot of damage control that I think Ajath does. And I think Ajath starts to like talk to kids too. I think Ajath uses their powers of like wealth and lifestyle to try and reach younger people, seeing the disaster that this new leader is bringing to their doorsteps and to their futures. Ajath's not big on kids, but
No.
this is
Well
a
said.
moment where you gotta like catch it before it eludes you. You know what I mean? You gotta like catch
Absolutely. I mean, and TikTok is here.
it.
Certainly.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I think
It's a huge one.
Ajath sees TikTok and is like, all right. Starts rubbing his little palms together, getting giddy and excited, right? Seeing this new, this refreshed rise of their beautiful
With the little
Black
raccoon
queer
gif.
culture. Yes, the raccoon hands, exactly. Seeing like this whole universe for their beautiful Black queer family to live, this whole universe for them to thrive and do amazing things. They have several hours long conversations with Anasi about misinformation. Both the funny kind and the not funny kind. Lots of fingers shaking at their sibling.
Uh-huh.
And then like looks down at their finger and is like, what are you doing? Like, leave it alone. You said this wasn't your problem, so don't make it your problem.
Not your circus, not your monkeys. Come
Like,
on now.
leave it alone.
I think definitely you mentioned politics. You see, little bits of that. I think one of the, major points is like Stacey Abrams in Georgia, working with her just to get the Black vote up, working against everything that Georgia tried to throw in the way to make sure that those votes weren't counted.
That trying to sponsor initiatives like that and quietly sliding that money into people's hands that need it is something that I think Ajath is happy to do. Watching someone like Stacey Abrams still get defeated because of nefarious practices, knowing that our people are too good to stoop to those lows, and having to sit in that righteousness, but with the fury that is burning white hot. I feel like those are the moments that Ajath just like really has to. She's got to pray on it. She don't know to who, but she's praying on it to make it through another day. Because
Yeah.
if we cheat, we're cheaters for life. If one of them cheats, they just cheated. And also you can still be the governor. It's fine. You can stay there. We're not going to take your job from you just because you cheated, right? That's ridiculous.
Right. And this, of course, since we're talking about politics, this is a sort of like outside of the, but I do have a question. Do y'all remember in school when you like learned about impeachments and like those felt like really big deals?
Yeah.
What happened to that? What happened to that? I wonder.
You know what it is? It's one of those slap bracelets, right? Where like 99% of the time it's fine and it's a big deal and everybody's like, no. We got to take this seriously. And then like 1% of the time it slices your wrist and then they're not allowed anymore. It's like that, but the opposite, where it slices you every time except for this one time when you don't get sliced. It just quietly passes under the rug.
Interesting. Okay. So like when you get impeached like twice, when you get 2 slap bracelets.
Right.
No?
Well, they cancel each other out, you see, and then you can run. Then you can run again in 2024.
Damn, it's that American education system failing me again. I thought I had it down. No, I guess not.
No. It's another element of, as you mentioned, the American education system, in that impeachments classically have never been something, because it requires the vote to pass in both houses of Congress. And that is an extraordinarily high bar to clear. And so it's really just this thing to signal displeasure rather than an actual, we're going to remove someone from office using this mechanism. Even ages ago, early days of the United States, that was not the way it operated, because again, even then it was an extraordinarily high bar. But it's part of this mythology that this era brings us to, that there was somehow this thinking that there was a time when things were simpler, when things were easier to accomplish, that things were different and better because they were simpler. And it's, of course, nonsense, just utter nonsense. But it's easy to believe because we don't want to look back on the past unfavorably. And our brain works against us in this way because we remember the good times and we push aside the bad. And so the focus is on all these wonderful things, all these good things in the past. And for some people, that makes the past better because they don't have to contend with the bad times continuing to impact them now. But those of us who do, don't forget the bad times. And when we get those stories, we're like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Great again.
Right. Right. It's a wild time out there for sure. Hathor.
Well, lots happening. I think
that's for sure.
it's it's so much all of the time. I think Hathor is getting tired, despite herself. I think they are frustrated because they've just started to hit their prime after spending so long in the margins, pushing out of the margins, defining who they are. But they're getting tired. And a lot of it has to do with this sort of cultural erosion with the way that the internet has taken off, where every time we come up with something, as was hilariously said before stream, white folks just run in and pick up with it and run off with it, you know?
Yeah, let's just go.
They're just like, oh, no. You must be joking. That looks heavy. Let me take that for you. And I think it is just a really tiring thing to have been in the room with someone, right? Let's use music as an example. I watched someone pour their life over a microphone, stay in the studio until 4:30 a.m. over and over, trying to get tracks just right, trying to get an album just right. And then you see it break containment and you see folks run off with it. You see language, our own language develop, which isn't even really my domain, but seeing the way that Black Twitter especially serves as an incubator for new forms of AAVE, just to watch people run off with it and use it, to have to sit in spaces where the things you and your siblings helped build are being thrown around as if they have no weight. It's a very tiring thing. It's not a new thing. It's been around since we've been around, but I think Hathor is feeling it for the first time because it's easy to get lost in the good small things when that's all you see, when you have your nose to the pavement. And I think that's what she's been doing. So she's feeling all of this and she decides she's going to beef with TikTok. You know, this feels like a manageable evil, she says incorrectly.
Oh, yeah.
So I think at first they are over the moon that there's a place where it's like Black Twitter, but we have our faces on it, y'all. And then it starts to spiral and you see all these beautiful Black dances turn into... So I wish I knew a real one that I could have done there.
I mean, truly, that was one. I don't know what else you mean. yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all kinds of nonsense. So I think Hathor is beefing with TikTok. But I think there's a small joy in knowing that this is now in the wildness of this being a free-for-all kind of platform where anything can go to the detriment of all of us. Anything goes. There's a beauty in small artists being able to actually find platforms and find a start that people can just sit in their bedrooms with a demo of a demo and get, start something. I think Hathor is like, okay, this is what I want it to be. I want it to be a platform for art and cool things. Baby doesn't know what she's about to walk into, but I want it to be a platform for art and that's going to help us progress forward. So she is, she's going to beef with TikTok and lose.
Absolutely. Like that L, that's the fattest L for
sure. Oh, yeah.
But I will say you do see a good bit of creativity happening there. And it's slow, and of course the white cosign or the appropriation does happen. But you do see an effort made regularly, especially by those actual dancers, not just everyone following the trend. but actually crediting those who do the dances, those who make the music. You see people getting their roses when they're alive. On TikTok, out in the normal media, there are a lot more Black voices, Black faces, doing things, niggas doing things that niggas didn't do. We have someone out there doing horror, not just the Candyman or the Leprechaun movie, Leprechaun in the Hood. I think it's wild. It's a wild time, but yeah, there's actual like Black horror, Black thrillers. There's shows with all Black casts, some good, some not so much, but hey, it's all out there. And it's not just on BET. We have people, we have the first Black woman to do Coachella, predominantly white space. We have first Black headliner, and she brings truly the Blackest performance that space has ever seen. You see more women as like their own artists. Women rappers have come back in a big way. Are some of them beefing? A lot of times, yes. From apparently the queen of rap, so self-titled. I don't hold any credence to that. But I think it's a lot of change. They're not, now they're still shaking ass, but they're not like, it's their video that they're being a video vixen for, which is truly phenomenal and incredible to watch. We're also seeing a lot more range in Blackness in the world. Not as much as we would like. They're all still pretty and, you know, of a size for the most part. We get a few outliers. But even in this time where we're dealing with, you know, the Cheeto and his MAGA cult, because that's just all that is, we are seeing a lot more of the Black creativity out in the main space. It might not get Grammys for it, but it's still out there and people are enjoying it. Buna, we're gonna come to you, but actually I do have to preface it of where we're starting with you. Because we're still, of course, experiencing the way that America works with Black folk just trying to live. But there's a point where the entire world just kind of stops. And you are incredibly busy. And I will say you are not the only god of death. But you are, along with your other compatriots, constantly working as something that shuts the entire world down. It means that you have to give gifts to a whole lot of people. And I think you work with Hathor's son a lot, because this is a big medical issue, and due to a number of different things, a lot of our kind don't always trust medical professionals. So how are we doing, Buna?
Another decade of silent death, almost. The people die by the hundreds and then the thousands. Beautiful black lives snuffed, gone after a seemingly torturous death. Their lungs filling and closing on themselves. Oh, I'm very busy indeed. And if I thought I was tired before, I think it's time for a vacation after this one. People are lonely in this time. They take foolish risks. They put themselves in danger. They don't believe the establishment, which has never been for them in the first place. But now they take more risks than ever. The strange thing is, though, when I greet some of them, well, they used to fight me. They used to be angry. They used to be filled with rage. Say, why me? How dare you come for me? And now they're doom scrolling. Even after that, they can't let it go. It's just a strange phenomenon. They just want to be constantly distracted. But I always come, and I always find them. I watch the bodies pile up in ice skating rinks and morgues. Stacks and stacks of bodies of lives taken because of this virus. And I see our people come together. I'm not the creative one, but somehow this concept of blurreddom that grew from a seed is now going to its fruition. These black folks playing these games online, Call of Duty, Tekken, Dungeons and Dragons or some shit. They've come together. This is why I'm never gonna get any kind of money from them. That's all good. They come together to celebrate life once again in new and different ways. And I gotta say, I gotta give them their flowers. It's quite a beautiful thing.
It is.
It gives me a little bit of hope, but whew, I still need a vacation. Maybe somewhere sunny. Somewhere on a beach, maybe.
I mean, there are plenty of places. Caribbean? Maybe. Maybe. Depends on which one you go to. But you see the ripples. And I think it's interesting. One that you've seen, even through the constant rippling in this time, even like raindrops hitting a still lake. Even through that, you do see a ripple sort of stretches back and forward into the future. You feel home coming back. There was the Back to Africa movement in the past. Definitely a lot of Afrocentrism. But I feel in recent times, there's been an actual connection between Black Americans and Africans. You can see it in, the media and the shows. You can see it on TikTok. You can hear it in the music. It's everywhere now. Like, of course, Black artists, and again, this is one of those moments, even the cosign. It's the Afro beat. But it's now a part of pop culture. It's in there. You feel the beat, you hear home. You remember. There's a connection to the homeland. It's beautiful. It's good. We have but only a short stint with the Cheeto in power. We have the president after. We're still dealing with much of the same issues. We have more riots or protests. There are names that are said, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, they are added to the names that we say because we won't forget them, because we can't forget them, because otherwise they win. We still have to remind them daily that Black Lives Matter. But now we do so with our whole chest, 10 toes in it. Indeed. I want to bring it up to the group. Pick a time where you all would be together.
I mean, I'm hearing beach episode. Buna's saying they need a vacation. I'm hearing beach episode. I don't know.
After the world's opened back up.
Yes. 100%.
Absolutely.
Ajath definitely has a private island.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Private island. You all are having some time away because every now and then you have to unplug. Otherwise, you will simply go insane. Even as godly beings, you all have the weariness of ages upon you. But for now, you have time to sit and reflect. Anasi, what are you thinking about?
I think after the recent events and all of the changes coming out of that, and of course, I think Anansi would have a great deal of things to do as people were locked down and were even those who formerly had maybe not been as active on the interwebs were now forced into that position in a great many ways. So Anansi would absolutely revel in getting new eyes and raising new ideas, hopefully, to people in this new world, but would also, on the other side, just feel a great weight and a great amount of sadness that for all the benefits of being able to show images of injustice and being able to communicate with people literally all over the world, for groups to be able to connect and form that couldn't otherwise have formed. Anansi would also be saddened by the fact that this great thing, this great connector, is also in some ways a great divider. It's also being put to a great many nefarious purposes, whether it's stealing away people's life savings, whether it's spreading misinformation. And here we have at our fingertips more knowledge, more information than at any point before. And yet people are just taking things at face value, not verifying what they're told, not digging any deeper. They just hear things that they believe echoed back at them, and they simply nod. And they take that as the gospel truth and spread this misinformation even further, and none more keenly than, of course, what happens during the pandemic as people just amplify information that is dangerous. And so I think Anansi would want to get together with their siblings and ponder what's to come next. Where do we go from here, and what do we do with all of these things? The music that we've helped inspire, this vast store of information that people are misusing. What do we do with it? Where do we go? How do we move on to the next thing? And do we have to worry that even though our orange friend was removed from his position of power, that it signaled a shift, it signaled a change that is only amplified as DEI programs disappear, as all of these great things that we had pushed for, whether it's bodily autonomy or affirmative action, all of these things are facing a viral backlash, and all of that work is being washed away. Where do we go next?
Well, I believe that question is up for you all to answer.
I think Ajath comes in with a gigantic pitcher of margaritas.
Oh, thank God.
Just an outrageously large carafe. Sets it down on the table with glasses. Their house is one that has like a lot of rooms upstairs for anyone who might ever need a place to stay. And they have downstairs where all of you are, there's a seemingly endless collection of Black excellence. Black Panther movie poster signed by the cast. A whole array of Stevie Wonder albums. Obama's very first book before he was even the president. All kinds of relics. Sounds like it's so far in the past. These are barely, they barely have dust on them. And I think that they sort of sit in this and look around. And this is something that gives them a lot of hope. Seeing a broom that one of their ancestors, that one of their descendants jumped over in the 1800s, lying over the hearth. Things that have complicated histories, but important ones nonetheless. And I think they look at Anasi and they're like, you know what? I think I've stopped trying to imagine what's coming next. It's come to my realization that there's no part of this that I think any of us could ever see coming. I once read that the definition of insanity is expecting something new to come from doing the same thing over and over again. And if there's anything that our people are, it's both resilient and versatile. I mean, you don't develop jazz, invent jazz, and not try new things. I don't know if you noticed, brother, but our numbers weren't so bad. Middle of a pandemic, worldwide protests. I was in Austin last week. There's still posters hanging up. Black Lives Matter. There's no black people in the town, but Black Lives Matter everywhere, right? It's foolish to have hope at a time like this. I mean, there's been a lot of hope weaponized, misused. But these young people, they're both more malleable and easier to convince, but also the most stubborn little shits I've ever seen in my life. They're talking about taking away their TikTok, and these kids are fucking ready to stand up for their rights and fight on the front fucking lines for that shit. I think we did a good job trying to invest in the right places. And I think they sit down and they pull out like a big stack of like books and DVDs and like thumb drives and like a bunch of different handlings of media. And it's all other cultures. Like y'all are sitting in the diaspora, right? Like beautiful painting of Celia Cruz on the wall, right? Like all kinds of books by Alexandre Dumas, right? Like all kinds of things from the diaspora. But they take out items from Pacific Islander culture, from South Asian cultures, from South American and Latin American cultures, and they start kind of stacking them up. There's lots of power in trying to join with your distant family. And I think that's where I'm putting my money in the future. I'm seeing this K-pop thing. Have you seen it? It's amazing. And all of them online arguing with white people who try to compare them to the Jackson 5 or to TLC or to Janet Jackson, talking about we wouldn't have this if not for them. They walked so we could run. I gotta tell you, that is impressive. To be able to take and pay respects like that. I think that's where the future lies. The ultimate in this fight is when they get their way and there's this race war that last guy was talking about. They don't realize how small their numbers are going to be and how big and colorful ours are.
Anasi. Hey, oh my goodness. You guys sound old, aged. You bring your work to vacation? I thought we were here to relax.
I'm having a margarita.
You raise a
Yeah.
good point, Buna.
I mean, for at least 5 minutes, no black people are going to die. At least 5 while I enjoy this beverage.
That's true. I think at that, Ajath just magics a really beautifully rolled and golden papered blunt, sparks it up and starts to pass it.
Yes.
Now, this vacation, we've done so much. We've come across the ocean. We've seen our people as slaves, as liberators, as artists, as writers, as actors, politicians, creatives. We've seen them go through every permutation of humanity, and we've helped guide them through it. And I think we deserve not only a break, but to celebrate it.
Yes.
And to celebrate it, I would like to give each of you a present. Don't open it until you're ready. But when the time comes, and you'll know, and you need a real break, open that present, open that gift. And you'll be able to rest. Although this beach house is insane. I don't know. You must have stocked away a lot of money to put down on this thing. This is crazy.
Believe it or not, because there's a bunch of black people here, nobody wanted to buy any kind of land, so I got it pretty cheap.
Incredible.
I give back to the community. I foster and develop their people. They love me. They think I'm great. I have no want for anything here.
Really old
And there's
school
enough
God.
room for all of you.
Really old school goddom right there, right? Direct intervention. I love it.
I mean, the closer you are to your people and the closer they are to their culture, the better things are. But I mean, that's just not the way it is in 2020, whatever.
Well, the people now, I don't know. Feels like they need us less and less. They need new gods almost. They worship different things. They behave in different ways. They use different language. I mean,
True.
You've seen them, right? You've seen some of the new gods that they've created.
They do, but also, I mean, we can also redefine who we are.
I mean, we do live in a nation that prints the very words "In God We Trust" on their money and fool themselves into thinking that they are talking about another being when in fact it is the money itself.
Very true.
When Anasi will take a long drag from the blood.
Say, it never burns out. Your gods, it's there forever until you're done with it. I think sort of on that, yes, some of the gods are different. And as I mentioned previously, many of the Black people, especially in America, well, actually, lots of Black folk just in general, follow the Christian God. But they have practices that are still reminiscent of those things in the old world, in your homeland. There are lots of things that seem similar to the practices that many Christians look down on when it comes to, say, voodoo or, Santeria. Many a church will have people being slain in the spirit or talking, speaking in tongues. To me, that just sounds like one of the Loa riding somebody. Houses in the south are colored a very specific blue to keep the haints out. People use oil and pray over people. All of this just sounds like praying to the spirits, to the gods. So, yes, capital G, God. It's absolutely fine. But there are always these little moments where you still feel that connection, that tie to you. How we doing, Liz? You're muted. There we
little
go.
on fire, but you know, that's the immortal light. That's all right.
It do be like that.
Hathor, I think, is doing something familiar from our earlier adventures. It's just quiet. Passively using the psychologist trait to sort of provide not just hope, but comfort, catharsis, peace, if such a thing can be granted by the individual, to their siblings. Just sitting, humming a tune, whatever's on the radio, just humming it a little bit louder. Just being a sort of like warm buzz to the back of the room, that because she's honestly taking comfort in just hearing from other people. So I think she's just vibing and trying to provide a sort of quiet, steady comfort as we all finally relax just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Mhm. You have received your daily email from your
My
son.
boy.
Mhm.
Oh, that makes me happy. I'll probably take a really bad selfie of all of us, like my thumbs in front of the camera. And then like there's another one that's out of focus a little. And I'll send them to him. And if it seems like the vibe is okay, I would invite him to pop up for a little bit. I don't want to be that person that like invites someone else to the function halfway through the function, but you could use a break too.
All these years, and you're still bad at using a camera phone.
I don't get it. I don't get it. There's too many buttons. Okay.
That's out loud, by the way,
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh, 100% freeze. And slow turn.
It's Horace. So I think Horace and Ajath are good enough friends. They've worked
Okay.
together enough on this. Sure, probably wouldn't be too much of an issue.
Fine. Just my firstborn and my sibling conspiring to embarrass me. That's cool. Fine. No, I'm handling this well.
I believe that. I believe that.
I will move over so he can sit.
And he will absolutely sit. Is looking at the blunt with suspicion, certainly.
Avert your eyes. It's fine.
Listen, I know you're my mother, but I am also a grown man. And a god, so...
Okay, and let's go back to the first part. I'm your mother, so... Right. You tried it.
I did. I'm sorry. So, vacation. What do you do on vacation exactly?
Unclear. I'm mirroring my siblings. And
Okay.
Hathor says that so loudly. Just real bad. She's real bad at being stealthy. Not her best.
Don't tell me this is your first vacation.
Okay. Then I won't tell you.
I was gonna say, like, okay.
Fine.
Then I shall not speak.
How these last few decades, I don't know if I ever really stopped. There was too much to do constantly. So how do you rest? Ajath, Anasi, Buna, if you have something,
I think Ajath said something that inspired Nancy a little bit, that about the endurance, and that the African diaspora is everywhere, much as people like to claim that we aren't. And so it means that being everywhere, that we have reach. And I think Nancy in this moment would think about the power. I also mentioned, these homages to Black artists who came before, from artists in Korea. But at the same time, we can look around the world, Asia, in Europe, in South America, everywhere. We can see these elements of people who are following in the footsteps of Black artists. And there's a connection and a power that comes from that all of the lives that culture and the people of Africa have touched and helped shape and helped guide and helped inspire. And that's even amidst all of the heartbreak, the pain, there's that sense of joy, that sense of connection, that when we say Black Lives Matter, we're talking about a very specific element, but in a way it's bigger than that. They matter not because we're talking about, we are in this instance talking about Black lives being carelessly extinguished, but also I think we can extend that we matter on a global stage because of the impact that we've had, because of the influence that we've had all around the world. And that means something.
Absolutely. It's fascinating seeing how far the things that we have accomplished has really spread. The number of places that have fried chicken because of, Black folk being in those areas. One of the most popular Brazilian styles of music, and a lot of really big music in South America, has deep ties to either jazz or, the African roots. American music is Black music, has been. Looking through the decades we've seen, there's so much of our influence all over the place, even if they tried to erase that fact. And we're seeing it all come back. House, rock, country. We're seeing our faces in the music genres that are or have been for a very long time just for the white people. Buna may see the ripples, but not even he can see exactly what happens. We don't know what the future holds. But I can say with confidence that if people like you all, like us, have any say in it, it's going to be bright. We don't have the direct influence of the gods, but you're all strong in your own incredible ways. I think as you all relax on this island, seems a little bit like the form of heaven that we all have. I think we see the waves, no ripples. You said 5 minutes, Buna. So just the waves, the ebb and flow of time. We see the sun brought across the sky and down over the horizon by Horus. You all have a moment to prepare, to rest, to recoup, and tomorrow get back on the grind. That's what we can do. And I think with that, unless anyone has any objections, I think that's where we will end today's session.
I object. I want to know what Buna got us.
I thought it was death.
Yes.
It was death.
Oh,
You don't know what's in there.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
oh, my
I
bad.
don't know.
My bad. Oh, so what's up? What's up?
listen,
I mean,
I was
so
in
insulted.
the ether.
That's the way-
I don't
that's
know
the way
what was
I read
going
it.
on.
Yes,
That's the way I read
it too. But also, if there's a treat in there, I'd be really excited about it.
I was gone.
Ayath loves
So
Some
I
call it
don't know
treat.
if it was a real present or the present of peace. Either way, I'm down for it. I'm just nosy.
He said to open it when we want to rest.
Ah, okay. I see. I'm the problem here.
No, it's fine. I think I set 4 small boxes about this size. Not you can fit it in your hand, and then each wrapped individually for each of you. One is for Ajath. It's in a bright pink wrapping. One is for Hathor. It's in a bright yellow wrapping. One is for Anasi. And it's actually like a puzzle box. It looks like a Rubik's Cube almost. But
Yes.
there's one more that's in gray. And I think that Buna takes this to the beach with them and just as they walk into the water, they open their own package and say, you know what, I invented this shit. And walk into the water.
You doing this to me right now? You doing this to me right now?
Oh, may I?
Yeah, fucking I guess.
I don't know how we're gonna wrap up.
No,
Oh,
no,
well.
you go, please. Yeah, please do. Please, yeah. Mhm.
Do it.
Buna says, I invented this shit. Those assholes copied it from me. And from the waves, another person rises. Younger, fitter, healthier, not nearly as tired. And smiles and waves at his new family.
Beautiful. So, if anyone else would like to give an outro, by all means, if there's anything that your gods would do, that's fully up to you.
I think Anansi would just give a wry grin at what just happened with Buna, and remember that it's a powerful symbol that we're always going to rise up out of. And then go back to the blunt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, this shit is good, huh?
You're right. This
Yeah.
is good shit, my man.
Ajath knows where to find it.
Yeah, that's grown.
Yeah. It's fully grown. All right. Yeah, Hathor.
I think Ajath rests for a while. Gets to 2024, sees the election brewing yet again, and is like, it's time to learn your lesson. Do something different. And I think he goes to his island and just waits it out, waiting to find the next way in to make change for the future.
Amazing. Hathor.
I think Hathor, after resting for a little while, will still try to chip away at little things, shifting beauty standards, because it's still her domain. And I think when the tiredness hits again, realizing that for every 4 steps forward, there's 8 steps back, that she will accept that there are certain things that will take time, and that time is not moved by the impatient hand. Time is moved by the people living it. So she will stop. She will lay down her arms, and she will perform the most important role of her many roles, which is being a mother. She will spend time with her son, time she was afraid to claim before, but now can embrace after centuries. She'll spend time with local children, especially queer children, just absorbing all the different kinds of beauty that have come to pass in time that they've walked the earth. The type of music, the dance, the evolution of all these little things, how she's become a god of small things in that way. And I think once that is processed, once Hathor is finally able to make peace with not just stepping out of the margins, but becoming her own text and her own sacred place, I think she'll call over Horace for a nice warm cup of coffee and a Brooklyn brownstone that she's owned for years and years and years. And she will enjoy a nice pastry and a nice cup of coffee with her son. And then she will open her box.
Beautiful. I think you all are informed by Horus with a bittersweet melancholy. But he continues to work, to set about it. There are more and more Black people in the medical field by the day. Doctors, nurses, healing so that Black people aren't as afraid to seek out medical help. And I think that, now that you have all hurt my feelings, is where we're going to call it. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. Thank you for watching Body and Soul, the soundtrack to See Forever 2. I want to thank my incredible cast. I could not have done any of this without you. You all told the story better even than I could have thought that you would. I'm so proud of all of you. I'm so grateful to all of you. We're gonna just keep it real simple, real cute. I'm Q. You can find me on the internet at Midnight Inc. That's Midnight_INQ. Q is my name. I'm in a lot of stuff. You can find me on Live from the Apocalypse, Entropy Emporium. There's also we've got a thing over at Tales from Table Studios. It is a month of games to support Palestine. So if you have the bandwidth, you have the spoons, please go and watch. We got lots of things going on there. I'm gonna pass it. We're gonna start here. Oscar nominated actor Mark J. At least that's how I feel it should be.
Hush, everyone, listen, it's an ensemble performance that I think we all definitely deserve recognition for. And like I said, I'm gonna miss this character and this cast for sure. And at the same time, oh my goodness, I'm ready to set it aside for a little bit and take a break, just like Buna, because it's a lot. This experience we have is really powerful. Hey, I'm Mark J. It's your boy Mark J. You can find me doing cool things at Apochromatic Unlimited. I've got an incredible interview with Candace. I'm planning on doing an incredible interview with this whole cast because we just did some real special shit. And if we don't close this chapter together, I think we'd be absolutely missing out. Apochromatic Unlimited is a space to uplift all POC in the TTRPG space, and we have so many different projects going on. You just got to check us out to find out. Yeah, and thank you, Hugh, and thank the cast, and thank David and Kay. You guys have done more than I could have ever expected. I'm trying not to cry, so I want to just let it move on. Thank you.
Fantastic. Liz, my darling, my love, my light.
First of all, no you. Second of all, tears in my eyes. Sucking them in. Hi. This has been... I'm sorry, I'm so deeply ill, but this has been such a beautiful series. And I'm so grateful that I got the chance to explore this character because I think I got to touch on some very vulnerable things with myself in a space that for the first time I felt completely safe to do so. And I know we talk about that a lot, but it is really, really rare, unfortunately, to get an all-Black table together and doing it. So I'm grateful to each and every one of you for sharing yourselves with me. I'm grateful for the chat, for showing up to support us in doing this. I hope there are many more in our future. Oh, me. I'm Dauntless. You can call me Daunt or Liz. I am a TTRPG performer, creator, and variety streamer with Team Neat Dude. You can catch me on Twitch. Sometimes you gotta find me. You have to hunt me for sport and catch me when I'm live. I don't know. At twitch.tv/DAUNTLYS. Or you can find me on Twitter up to shenanigans at DAUNT_LYS. I am also a GM available for hire. So if you liked some of the stuff that we did here, I do that. So stuck the landing, guys.
Oh, you got it. Nailed it. Stefan.
Wow. Thank you so much to everyone who came out for this. But what a amazing group of people to do this alongside. Thank you, each and every one of you. It was so many things. It was powerful. It was cathartic. It was beautiful. It was sad. It was heartrending. It was amazing. Every last bit of it. And if this is the last time that I share a table with you, I'm gonna hurt somebody. I'm gonna hurt somebody because this was phenomenal in ways that I just can't put into words. Thank you all. I was thrilled when Q hit me up over this, and even more so now, over the moon. So yeah, you can find me. I'm Stefan. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Blue Sky, Umbro_NightX. Again, musing about social issues, history, pop culture, role-playing games, all that fun sort of thing, and all of the other things that are going on. Thank you all so very much, and free Palestine.
1000%. And of course, Candace.
Hi. I am emotional.
Don't do this to me. Don't
My
do this to
name
me.
is Candace the Magnificent. You can find me at the Candace Marie on Twitter and Blue Sky, at Candace the Magnificent, pretty much everywhere else. You can find me every other Saturday on Matihi's channel, playing What We Do in the Shallows, an original 5e queer horror pirate campaign. You can hear me on Bloomin' Blight and Otherworld Hollywood over wherever you catch your pods, if you want more of my shenanigans and nonsense. On the last Friday and Sunday of this month, you can catch me over at Meadows Twitch channel. I am doing a sponsored charity stream of Romeo and Juliet that is going to benefit the 1000 Dreams Fund, which aims at putting more women and women of color specifically into the video game industry, both in the development and writing side, as well as in streaming. That should be a pretty big one. We'll be on the front page for that. And you can see me on Chaotic Wholesome next month for something that is not announced, that I am working on, that I'm really hoping against hope will come together. This has been outrageously special. When Q approached me to ask me to be in this game, it was an immediate yes. I didn't even stop to I was like, don't even tell me what it's about. Obviously, I'm going to be in your game. Like, don't be stupid. It's insulting that you would even think you need to sell me on it.
Sorry, I had to do it.
I was like, respect. Game recognized game. Give me your pitch. You need to practice for much bigger fish than me in the future. But please go ahead and give me your pitch. But also, yes, I will be there. My calendar is clear. Each and every one of you is incredibly special to me, just as people. I think Stefan, you were the only person in this that I have not worked with in any capacity before. This has been such a treat to get to know you over the table, and also offline as well, like just off screen as well.
Mutual.
Thank you. Thank you to Liz for being just a never-endingly fantastic scene partner. I don't think I ever enjoy my time at the table more than when Liz and I have a really good scene, especially because we tend to make characters that are semi-opposites. So it's always really good to be able to share that time and that spirit with you, Liz. Mark, I am now in Apocrymatic with you. I am trying to get my head around what I'm supposed to be doing there. You are very much an inspiration to me. The way that you just kind of bring your authenticity, bring your whole self to the table every time. Having been able to play alongside you and GM for you, you just never fail to impress me. And Q, so proud of you. So proud of you. This is your very first streamed game that you've GM'd. What a game. What a way to start. What a way to kick the door in. I mean, I will never not stand whatever it is that you do. I always love playing with you, as you know. Now I know that I also love you as my GM, so you have more options to have me pester you at your table.
Wait, this was your first stream
This
game?
is his first streamed game that he has GM'd ever. Can we please shout Q out?
I mean, GMing. I mean, bro.
Impressed.
My Negro, are you serious?
Yes. Impressed.
Damn.
Impressed. You get the double Italian, is what you get.
If I had another Italian that I could throw in,
put a third one in there.
If I could Muppet my way into a third one, rising out of this corner, I would.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Game recognizes game.
Fucking that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This was sick.
I will also give a huge shout out to both Kay and David. David, thank you for waking up at the crack of dawn for us and letting us just bullshit in your ear. Early in the morning. And thank you to Kay as well for the space. Between Q and my co-stars and the production team, I have been made so comfortable. This is definitely the most vulnerable I've ever gotten in a TTRPG. And it's also the most safe I think I've ever felt. So thank you to all of you for that. I will treasure this forever.
Fantastic. Okay. I've already given my outro, but I did also want to thank Kay and David for giving us the space to be able to tell the story. It was hard at a lot of points, just sort of going back through all of it, even the stuff that we weren't around for. But I think everyone handled it like absolute rock stars. This was something that I had wanted, and to see it come to fruition in such a beautiful way was really great. And before I lose it, we're gonna call it a day. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We hope to see you out on the internet somewhere. Until then, have a wonderful day. All right? Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.